You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Liberty Podcast. This is episode number 219 of the Centralized Favorite Podcast. Jeremiah Morrell here, joined by Dakota Davis, producer Zach Burcham, and an empty chair that probably won't get filled. But there's a chance Chase Payton might walk in. He teased us, Dakota.
He told you on Tuesday that he was going to be here, and he never showed up. But today's episode features...
He did give a very reasonable excuse.
I forget what had happened.
I believe he's watching a senior citizen.
Yeah. I haven't seen him this week. I've been commuting around him, but I hadn't seen him this week. So,
Dakota, what are we doing?
Today's episode features the three of us, and we're going to be telling you guys about some different things that are going on in the world due to COVID-19. Things are ramping up again. We are seeing quarantines, and we're seeing more sicknesses and spikes in hospitalizations. And does that come with lockdowns? Maybe, maybe not. We're also going to be talking a little bit about what's been going on in Afghanistan and touching on some of President Biden's remarks and some other things I'm sure that we'll get to along the way that we don't have written down yet.
This is a very episode 2 or episode 3 show. We are using our show notes. Dakota chose to go to dinner, and you can find out what he had at dinner if you join the Patreon. But
thanks for the invite.
This is no shit.
that was my response to
very.
I never said in Patreon what I had for dinner.
Well, you said what you consumed at dinner.
I said a very small part of it, what I drank.
Right.
Not anything that
something that you consumed anyway. This is very much like episode 2 or 3 of Boss Hog, but instead of this being on the back of a paper plate, it's on the back of last week's show notes, which, as I was gesturing to Dakota over something, I knocked over a beer. So now it's soaked in Bobby Allison juice.
The champagne of beers.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you'll always learn something new. Like today, Dakota's going to find out who the hell is Bobby Allison. Why do I say it's Bobby Allison juice? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea.
Zach knows.
Yeah.
Zach, do you want to explain to the crowd?
Race car driver.
Uh-huh.
That was my first guess.
The first, if I think of Miller High Life, though, I think of is that they had the killer ad campaign with the... Are You Crazy? Is that who had that? I'm trying to think. There was somebody who had a good ad campaign where the guy would show up and like...
Miller High Life had a good ad campaign probably...
This was like 15 years ago, probably.
I was going to say about 10 years ago.
Yeah. So maybe. The champagne of beers is they did that again. But the Bobby Allison won the Daytona 500 in the Miller High Life car when he beat his son. Like beat him, not as in physically, but like, ran first and second.
Hey, it's NASCAR. Any of those things could happen.
Zach, you did have a NASCAR weekend we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Yeah.
And cover. And
we saw some NASCAR fans. And in true NASCAR fashion, I burned my neck so badly the first day that I was like, well, I got a redneck. I'm in a NASCAR race. I feel like I fit in.
We did just record a Patreon, and that's brought to you by many, many people, but exclusively we want to thank, or the very tip of the iceberg we want to thank. Do we have a club name? What do we call the top tier folks? The big spenders?
The $50 a month club.
$50 a month club.
If you donate,
the Ben Franklin Club? Franklin's on the 100. Yeah, is it Hamilton? The Hamilton Club. Who the hell's on the 50? Franklin?
I think it might be.
Is Jefferson on the bill?
He's on the 5.
I don't remember.
President Grant. Oh, I knew that.
Grant. You don't see many. They skip right to the
No, the ATM doesn't spit out a 50.
No, They skip right to the Benjamins anytime you're talking about bills.
Even if you do like the drive-up ATM thing where it's a live person talking to you, they will only, like, I asked for a 50 I was like, I need so many hundreds and a 50. And then they're like, oh, we only have 20s. And
I
I was
can't
like,
think of the last time I saw
I was
it.
like, okay, so 2 20s and a 10. And he's like, we don't have 10s.
The only time I see it, I have 50 is I have a grandparent that will give us $50 at Christmas. And you open up the little card and there's Grant's face staring at you. But like, that's the only time I see a 50.
Whale in the Grant Club. It's Christy Avery, John Phillips of Andy Moore Buick GMC, Fishers, Indiana, Anthony Meyer, and Fiddler's Green, Chris Lamb.
That's right.
Is that accurate?
Fiddler's Green Cigar Company, the premier tobacconist in Newcastle, Indiana.
Tobacconist.
Yeah, that's their name.
That's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's exciting. I can't wait to try the big Airstream. It's going to be fun.
It'll happen eventually. We'll get there.
You keep teasing me. You keep teasing me with it. A lot of anticipation.
Get to ruin our lungs and prime them for COVID.
I think the thing is that you're supposed to not put it in your lungs.
Yeah.
You don't have any self-control.
Supposedly.
But that's the way it's supposed to work.
Some of it's got to make it in there. I mean, you're breathing around it, right?
So you got your big, you got your new COVID mask, your BHOL gator. Are gators allowed in Wave 3? Or are they outlawed?
I know bandanas usually aren't good. We don't want bandanas anymore.
You've been getting a little trouble at work. Do you think a gator would work if you wore a BHOL gator in there? Do you think you could get by with that?
There are people who wear them. Yep. I stick with the surgical masks, though.
So there's T-shirts, there's merch, there's a mug, and then there's the Wave 3 gator is available.
That's right. tchip.com/BHO1234 or BHO mug. That's where you can get your Boss Hog of Liberty merchandise. Zach Burcham is going to somehow try to put them in the chat if he hasn't.
I posted. I've already got the link tree's there.
Okay.
The link tree.
The link tree is there. That's where you can go. If you're listening to this on the audio, then you can go to bosshogsofliberty.com and you can find all of the links there as well.
It's a beautiful thing. All right, Zach.
Talking about county employee pay?
No, that's last week's
And
show.
I picked it up. I was like, we're talking about this again? Has there been a development?
No, Dakota went to dinner tonight. So we have our show notes are old school, like we talked about. So let's talk about your redneck, Zach. You went to 2 NASCAR races over the weekend. You saw the Indy cars.
Yep.
What was your favorite race? This is a big unification of all of the motorsports world.
I mean, the IndyCar race was my favorite because that's my favorite sport. The NASCAR race, I got to witness everything that is wrong with that sport in my own. They do a thing where like the green white checker, and they had some track issues. They hit a curb repeatedly until they ripped it out of the pavement, and it started launching cars into the tire barriers.
Were you sitting in a place where you could see the cars fly, or was it was shielded?
I was
from
getting ready to leave because the first, like, I had my family had already left. They left partway through the race, and I had my camper hooked up and ready to go, like 200 yards out of the track. And I wanted to get out of there before everybody in the because there was a good crowd. They had a good crowd Sunday. I want to get out of there before the crowd was all like walking on Georgetown and blocking my way out of there. So at lap 4, they had the first wreck. And my wife had seen them working on that curbing at lap 15 of an 82 lap race for 82 laps, I think. She saw them working on it.
The official position of the track is that they were inspecting the curb.
They were inspecting it. She saw them hitting it with sledgehammers. I'm not sure what.
That sounds like a Dakota Davis inspection to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, they worked on it the whole break. So,
What's the problem?
So yeah, these guys were hitting it, and then it would like launch them. And I heard like they have an oil cooler that's mounted to like their splitter, and one of those oil coolers was shoved under the curb. Part of the problem is the cup car sits so low. So lap 4, I saw that, okay, there's a wreck. I just walked past where the wreck was. I was a little bummed I wasn't back there. But I was on the property with 4 laps to go. And I then walked out, left.
So 4 laps to go in the Indy 500, you should have been able to get across Georgetown Road.
Georgetown Road. Now, they had to red flag it. I saw them red flag it because they were trying to figure out what to do with the curb and go out and inspect it. And then at that point, I'm on my way home. I throw the race on my phone so I can listen to it. I tried to listen to the radio broadcast. That was insufferable. They really need to get in with the IndyCar radio folks, their broadcast. And it turns out that I had to go home 70. People have heard me complain about the construction. I got off at Greenfield because I needed to dump my tank, so I didn't want to go 234. Back roads to Greenfield, hop out on 40. The race ended as I pulled into the Mr. Fuel at 3:70.
There were 4 laps to go when you left the track.
4 laps to go when I left. And it was an hour and 20 minutes later that the race ended.
That's insane.
And I was like, I'm all about seeing a finish too, but I would not be happy if I like paced, I mean, people could be pacing their food and drink based on when this race was going to end.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they stopped selling beer and alcohol at like lap with 40 to go or something.
And you're left sitting there for an hour and a half almost for what should have been for like what
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes of action. And so I don't know. I mean, it had multiple problems. They had a red flag, and then when they started to finally get going, I don't know how a car fired up and blew its engine, but not after it just drenched the whole front straightaway and half of the north end of the track in oil, apparently. And then they had to drive around and work the oil dry in. And then they go to a restart, and they said
there was oil dry everywhere. I heard a lot of complaints
it
about
looked
oil
like
dry
the fog
everywhere.
had rolled in. And then they'd remove this curb, but inside this curb was a straight section of curb.
What they call a sausage curb.
Yeah. And so it was a straight section. They drove them through there. I don't know. They did 20. It felt like they did 20 more laps through there. And they specifically took them by and said, this is where this is, because it was a straight angle. If you hit it, it was like hitting a curb.
It was like a Dukes of Hazzard ramp.
Yes. Because as a matter of fact, Scott McLaughlin jumped it in the IndyCar the day before. He hit one curb and jumped the next two curbs. And so when they do a restart, they immediately hit the curb and wreck again. Even worse than the first time. It was just chaos. And so then
these are professional drivers, Zach. What I was saying on Twitter that on Sunday was the hell with it. Put up the concrete walls they had at Nashville then. If you won't respect the limits of the curbs and you want to drive over the things, then put up a concrete wall.
Take a Jersey barrier out there.
Yeah.
Just let them have it.
And,
just
crash into that.
And I was just like, you guys are kidding me. But yeah, so yeah,
But the NASCAR drivers blame the track instead.
Yeah, I saw one of them, Ty Dillon, I think, say it's partly on us, but he's like, I missed the oval or whatever. I got a really nice picture of Ty Dillon with his right side tires in the air after hitting that curb during qualification. So, or early in the race. So they were all hitting it, but man, I was just like, I like IndyCar where once in a while it finishes under yellow and you're a little bit bummed, but you're not I don't even know why they put numbers on NASCAR races. I don't know how many miles they're supposed to do 200 miles. And I bet they did close to 250. It's so many laps. So but it was fun.
I'm so happy I only went to the Saturday activity.
Oh my gosh. It was, well, and they had some issues. They had another curb. Was that a turtle?
Yep.
That they hit on Saturday that was way offline, and guys were hitting it, and literally you could see them. It was like watching like motocross. If there was like a jump that's off to the side, not everybody hits it. There'd just be these cars just jumping in the background and losing control because they were hitting a thing that was 8 feet past the curb that they weren't.
They
supposed to be
have no
into.
Respect for where they're supposed to drive. They just freaking wing it, man.
So they took that out, and then they found another curb.
Is the mindset just like, we'll try it?
Their mindset is run to the absolute limit of the car.
Yeah.
And if there's pavement there, they're going to try to use it.
Yeah. So it's like a little like a
chicane.
Almost a chicane, but except they don't end up in a straight line. They're in an offset. So they do a quick left and then a right. And the roads are kind of parallel if you were to put them next to each other. And so, yeah, they were hitting the curb on the right, and then they were swinging so far left that they were hitting curbing over there. And that's when they hit that one thing that was jumping them on Saturday. But I was just like, I don't know how people do it. I could have been home before that race was over.
I did go from Saturday. I watched the NASCAR Cup practice. We watched the IndyCar race, and then we bolted before the Xfinity race started and went out to IRP and saw our guy Kyle Robbins run, and he finished 9th in the sprint car, brand new sprint car. He went up from like 14th to 9th, finished 9th place. Very good run. 3 Henry County guys. You remember that we had Craig Armstrong was on the show, and 2 of his sons were in the top 10 as well. So we had 3 Henry County drivers in the top 10 of the USAC sprint car race at IRP. And then Kyle lost a motor in the in the Silver Crown feature. They were running about an hour behind. So we had a deal with my mother-in-law, and she was like, if Kyle falls out, we're leaving, right? I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And he got lapped with like 28 laps into the 100-lap feature. And he got lapped two laps before a caution came out, and he retired the car because the engine was off. Yeah, so he was done.
So I feel bad about not going, but you said they were running an hour behind.
Yeah.
So they're running a 100-lap feature. What time did the 100-lap feature start?
I would say it started after 11.
Yeah.
You're supposed to start at 10, and it started at 11.
11 p.m.?
Yes.
Dakota.
I know. Dakota and I are closer on that one. I was like, I looked at that and like nothing started till 8:30. I know why, because they were wanting to get people a chance to enjoy stuff at Indy. and then
it was cool though because we're there and Ryan Newman is in the race. One of the NASCAR drivers owns the car that actually wound up winning the midget race. Alex Bowman owns the Valvoline car. I'm like, there's Chad Knaus right there. You saw him walking into the tunnel and hanging out, checking stuff out. So there were a lot of very high profile NASCAR folks walking around the grounds down there, which was cool. But yeah, it was late night. Especially when you have to drive all the way back to Newcastle that evening.
I was going to drive back to Newcastle. I was going to drive back to Speedway, which was like 20 minutes away. But I was like, man, a 10 o'clock start. I was like, why did they do that to Silver Crown? They always, if I was an hour late, although I stayed up late talking to I met a new neighbor. That's fun of camping at the racetrack. So I chatted with him till like 1:30.
To be honest, the midget race was the best race of the night. It was phenomenal.
I was going to say, like, on a track like that, midgets would be great. Sprints were
a lot of fun.
Sprints are fun to watch because those are insane. Because they're like,
Sarah ridiculed me too. My wife literally made fun of me because I brought my lawn mowing headphones, my big surround earphones.
I bet as close as
they were phenomenal. And she's like, "Why? You look silly." I'm like, "Because there's loud.
There's no wall at IRP to bounce the sound off of.
Yeah, it just comes straight in your ears.
It looks so safe. The wall. I'm not joking. The wall is about that high, and you're like, man. This track was built a while ago. Like if they have to redo it, the wall's going to grow by about double.
It's going to grow significantly.
But as for spectator part, it's awesome. Like it's not even as tall as the rear tires on a Silver Crown car.
I hope Gateway happens because I've got a feeling we may be done spectating that stuff for a while.
I got my email today about my paddock passes telling me how to turn those in and get my wristbands and everything. I'm like, just hold out for like another week. Because
I went to Nashville 3 weeks ago for Garth Brooks, and they said, we're going to reschedule. Bad news came from Garth Brooks yesterday, Dakota. Garth owes my household about $400 because he canceled 2 tickets. Or 2 concerts times 2 tickets. There were 5 stadium shows that he sold and ticketed people for. Cincinnati, Nashville, Tennessee, Baltimore, Maryland, Charlotte, North Carolina, Boston, which is really Foxborough where the Patriots play. All of those are off the books. They've canceled the concerts and people are getting their money back.
You are getting your money back?
Yeah.
I'll give them credit. That's almost better than... I would like. It'd be nice if you could.
I had floor seats, Zach. I would much rather have had the chance to hang on to the seats I had, and you tell me, "Hey, we're going to do this in 23 or 24."
It'd be nice if they would
not be like, "Hey, we're going to try to do more concerts next year."
Here's my thing. Like, well, Coulter Wall, he is Canadian, right? And Canada is starting. They had like a little bit of freedom, but now it's slipping away again because of the Delta variant. So because
the Canadians have had very good success with vaccinations.
Yeah, but they're way more loosey-goosey with the restrictions than what we are here. Like as far as doing the lockdowns, closing gyms, and
they'll do that much faster.
Yeah, they do it really quick. Not as fast as Australia and New Zealand.
New Zealand had 1 case in the country and they shut everything down again.
All right, everybody go home.
Yeah, certain towns are shut down for a week, and other places that are nowhere near are down for like 2 or 3 days.
And but because Coulter Wall's in Canada, and they told him about the mandatory like quarantine times that he would have to do coming back, it wasn't feasible for him to do certain shows, so he had to cancel some on his tour. And then Charlie Crockett,
when it's not like it's just one guy, it's a traveling road show to do a big concert.
There's a bunch of people. They have a load of staff.
They've got They've got stages.
They've got like building out stages. Yeah, there's like probably like 100+ people that are traveling.
Yeah, and Charlie Crockett, he said that in his team there was a couple of COVID confirmed cases, so they had to shut everything down for the whole month of August. So that sucks. It's we're getting there again. I feel like we're back in the spring of 2020.
I don't feel like we're that far back.
To see it.
The one thing that I think is the carrot and stick that can go away from you is big events, big concerts, races, big festivals. That's the one gathering of humans that I think COVID can continue. I think we figured out how to deal with everything else except for these massive gatherings.
Yeah.
Indoor, outdoor, whatever.
Here's my deal is it's like, obviously we have a couple more strains that are already coming up and becoming strains of interest. It's going to be just like the flu. There's going to be different strains of COVID that come along, and every year we try to vaccinate for this in particular strain, and the vaccination helps just like the flu does, and we're just going to have to deal with it. It's just going to be how life is. And my thought is the vaccines keep you from getting too sick or dying. It's super rare if someone has a vaccine, catches COVID, and then dies.
Right. Yeah, that is an absolute. You're much more likely to get killed by
you're gonna get struck by lightning.
a hell of a lot of stuff than you are by that.
Trampled by a cow or something.
That's a manageable or mitigated risk.
And it's going to happen way more often than what people who get the flu shot die from the flu, or way less often. Because people get the flu shot and then die from like influenza A, but we vaccinated for influenza B this year, and you still get screwed. And I feel like, okay, so we have all these protections, and the people who didn't take the vaccine, they're aware of the risks they're taking. Obviously, it's plastered everywhere. It's shoved in your face 24/7.
Yeah, you're fully aware. There's nobody that's walking around going, you know what? I didn't know there was a vaccine.
Yeah. So those people have accepted the risk. You know, if you've got the vaccine, then you're probably going to be okay. You might get sick, but it's going to be a manageable sickness. You probably won't even have to go to the hospital.
Well, we've learned this
why aren't we just totally opened up? Like, why is this even a discussion still? I feel like it's just going to be here for forever. So I wish that we would just get on with it.
This week we were told that at 8 months after your first vaccination or your complete vaccination, that you should go ahead and get a booster shot, because it sounds like you're still protected against the worst, but you're getting a little sick. We want you to have if you had the Pfizer or Moderna, then those folks are supposed to get a third shot, a booster shot, about every 8 months thereafter.
Yes, the Moderna is like far more effective than the Pfizer or the J&J is at protecting against the Delta variant with infections.
Well, Zach's in good shape.
Yep.
To the quantity.
I got the Mark Martin approved, so
15 or 18% more effective.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm seeing a lot of people that are getting shocked into getting it. This seems to be, it's weird in that there's a group of people that are like, yeah, we're fine because they got vaccinated. And another way, though, like, I've heard, I haven't seen statistics. I don't watch the news, honestly, but it's hitting kids a little bit more than the old one was. But I've seen people who
it's still not that severe though.
Yeah.
Kids are getting sick.
Yeah, but
it's not.
But the people that are getting it, like adults, it's like bad enough that it's kind of shocking. I've seen people who are holding out on a vaccine. They're like, I don't need the vaccine. It's garbage. The whole thing's a hoax. And now they're like, sign me up, because it's not old people now. It's like 30. And I think I saw a thing about a church that went from like the pastor was like, I'm not really big on, don't worry about it. And then he buried like 6 people in a week in his congregation, 4 of which I think were under 35. And he's like, we're having a vaccine clinic next weekend. And like that kind of turned his brain around on some of it. So I think it's hitting a different group of people. So in that regard, I feel like it's worse than it was. But then you have this whole group of people that aren't really that concerned. It's kind of a bizarre circumstance right now. It's like schools. It's like shutting schools down.
So locally here, we have Shenandoah School Corporation is one of our 5 school corporations. I'm Ron Burgundy in Henry County. Shenandoah, Tri, Knightstown, Newcastle, Blue River. That's all of them, right?
Yep.
You get some Hagerstown kids as well.
No Creek.
But they're that's actually not here. But and there might be a few that go to Union too, from Stony Creek Township, which we really
we'll also have a private school here.
Yeah, sure. We have there's a lot of them. But as far as the major school corporations go, Shenandoah is one of the larger ones. It's the Middletown area, and they have 250 students and staff this week that have contracted it, which led to a shutdown of school sports, led to a shutdown of all in-person activities.
They did shut down the sports.
It did
First.
No, they had to review it.
They did.
I think when they figured out that 90% of the football team was out.
Yeah. They shut down the school, but kept all the sports
They kept their options open for a day.
The first area that I heard it was hitting with kids, like getting quarantined, was football. Because it was like, that's the worst sport to have, like, because even if it's outside, it's kids in like very close
quarters.
A
lot of vapors getting
wrestling and volleyball.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's just like, it's kids in close quarters. And I was like, because there were some kids that didn't even get to go the first day of school. They were in quarantine, like, boom, the day before school started.
My question is, how much of it is overreaction? Because even at this point, the flu kills more kids every year than what COVID has.
Well, what you've done is you've tied...
We don't shut school down or wear masks during flu season.
We've tied the health departments to school corporations. So once they have a certain number, you have to have an action plan by your school corporation with the health department to say how you're going to deal with it. I think once you have more than 0.1% of your population, then the health department gets involved and you start shutting shit down. So there's a metric that's in place based on what the state said. And now what you'll see in Henry County is because you got all these infections, you're going to see, we're probably going to go to red because you've had such a rate of infection in the county.
And then Shenandoah, of course, says all students and family and their families and faculty need to get tested.
They set up a drive-through testing clinic at the school.
Yep. And so then, I mean, I know.
And it's not just here. I'm going to blame Madison County for this because it's the district that's closest to Madison County, but Pendleton has a similar issue. It's the mixing of the Anderson and Northwest Henry County people that's causing this.
I know at least one person who is.
This is on Betsy Mills' watch, and I'm going to make sure she knows.
Is one person who's a parent of children at Shenandoah who went to the drive-through testing because of all this hoopla. His kids tested negative. 3 kids tested negative. And then he tests positive, but he's asymptomatic and has had the vaccine. So now he's quarantined at home.
I guess that's the thing that they're like, is that people are getting it and they have it, but they don't know it because they're vaccinated. And yeah, they're like asymptomatic to minimal symptoms. They don't even think they have it. But
I cut the deal with President Joe.
Yeah.
I don't have to wear my damn mask. I don't want to take my mask.
I think that is something.
I got my shot.
About.
I've got one in my pocket.
I made my deal.
Pocket just because I'm waiting for the.
I walked into Walmart yesterday and my wife put the mask on. I'm like, what the hell? Why are you wearing a mask? And she's like, the rules changed. I said, are they requiring them? She's like, no, they're recommended again. I'm like, whatever. I'm not doing it. There were a lot more people wearing masks in Walmart in Newcastle last night than I expected.
It's ramping up a lot, and like there's more and more at work. I know that I don't know. I wish I should have checked it. So it was City Council on Monday, and as of yesterday, it was masks were being mandated in city buildings. And they were also putting hand sanitizer stations outside all the buildings so you could sanitize your hands. And they had.
I don't think the hand sanitizer stuff's really gone away. I feel like folks have left the sanitizer
this time they put
out.
it like in front of the door, and then when you went into the council chambers, they had one. There's like a little foyer. They had one right there. So it was like you had to walk around it to get in. And he said, I should have checked the numbers. He said that they thought that they were going to go red yesterday when they got their numbers back.
Yeah, when the wind.
He said they were very close, and he said that talking to the head of the health department here,
ISDH,
that he thought that Henry County would go, and I would imagine that like I know of people that are testing positive, like from schools around here, and so I'm assuming that the numbers kept climbing.
Yeah, I fully expect that the county will go red. It's just a matter of how quickly the data got in, because I know Wednesday, which is yesterday as we record this, Wednesday is the date that this stuff updates.
One good thing about the Delta variant is that it's extremely, extremely contagious.
Oh, that's great.
Well,
so,
it'll be over
that means
quick.
that it'll be just run through our population super fast.
That's the part that's amazing, is that like it took, like in my brain, months for it to actually get to Henry County with any sort of like numbers last year. Like we got into the summer, I think, really. Like it was because we just aren't that densely populated here. And then it's like, oh, the Delta variant's here. You heard about it for like, I don't know, a month or two. And the next thing you know, there are.
Yeah, you were like Delta variants in Houston.
Yeah. And then now next thing you know, it's like Shenandoah is
But
boom.
here's the thing. We have been moving a hell of a lot more freely this year than we did then.
Yeah, we weren't.
Folks were working from home. There were a lot of activities that mitigated our mixing. As Delta variant happened, we still had Lollapalooza. We still had so many events that brought folks together. Henry County is at a level 2.5, so we are orange. We are the highest level of orange available.
We stayed.
Our neighbors in Randolph County went from blue to yellow. They were the beacon of hope.
Yep.
Yeah. So we are now at 331 cases per 100,000 people. So that's only it's 150 people essentially.
Down and check out the metrics
from Henry County.
What are the new deaths and things? There's our hospital census.
Yeah, this is statewide.
I have heard the hospitals are being. I guess that's probably a measure they're going to look at. Is hospitals are apparently like overrun.
1,600 COVID patients in the state right now.
We're still at like half of what we were at the peak.
The peak was about 3,000, 3,400. But the trend line is not good.
Yeah,
for sure.
I knew somebody that had something kind of relatively benign happened to them. They had to go to the hospital. I forget where they said they shipped them, but they did not. It was not a local hospital. They got shipped.
In the state of Indiana, 24% of ICU beds are available. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the majority of them aren't in use from COVID.
20% are COVID. Are COVID.
54% are non-COVID related.
Correct. And 18% of ventilators being used are non-COVID. 6% of the ventilators are used.
They try not to use ventilators very much anymore.
Correct. Boy, we've become experts. Definitely become experts.
That's the meme that's going around now, isn't it? Everybody's going from vaccine experts to, epidemiologists, and now we're foreign affairs experts with all the Afghanistan stuff.
I don't know about you guys, but I've been a vaccine and foreign affairs expert for years.
I looked it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to follow as well as I can, but yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing just to see how people. I don't know if we'll get shutdowns. I think schools are going to react as they see fit, and I think we're going to see some business mandates.
I
don't
will
think
not
we will get shut down
be
again.
shut down again.
I wouldn't mind being sent home to work from home.
I will not be shut down again. I'm not stopping.
My employer has extended the work from home date to the end of October now.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame people for doing that. That's not if you've been functioning this long, and that might be the thing with schools. Schools they have a lot of virtual learning under their belt, and so. But
as people are not working from home any longer, it complicates things a hell of a lot more for parents.
The state will. I don't know the statewide. The agency I work for will allow anybody to work from home if their kid is placed in quarantine and can't go to school. So I'm waiting for that. I'm like, I think it's a matter of time for my kids. So
I don't think that we will see lockdowns here again, but I definitely think some states are going to start reverting back to their old ways.
I think we'll see mask policies and stuff come back. Well, at least with businesses. I don't even know if we'll have mask mandates again. Is recommended.
It was
the governor had that press conference. I think everybody thought that something was going to happen.
So the governor made a press conference, and basically he announced that he's going to try to reshape the health program in Indiana. So much of this term for him, or this what the hell would you call it? It's not a presidency.
Term is right.
It's 2 terms, but his administration has been around health. That now he's going to try to make it a signature issue. So Mitch Daniels tried to rework county government and local governments, and now Governor Holcomb is putting together the equivalent of a Kernan Shepard report with Senator Luke Kenley, 15-person panel to look at health departments, how they work, all of how the state health departments work and how they interface together. And they're going to report back, and then he's hoping to make some changes because apparently we haven't changed anything in 140 years.
It's really probably not a bad idea.
And it's a good time because they're all kind of.
They're definitely.
There's a lot of communication right now that wouldn't have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, so it's kind of, everybody's kind of. This is about as sharp as you're going to find any of them probably being, and so it's a good time to see what they can do and what can be improved. I watched that because I thought I think a lot of people watch it.
I tuned in.
Yeah, I haven't watched one of his. Yeah, I haven't seen those. I haven't seen one of those notifications in a while. They're like, I get a notification on Facebook that the governor's going live. I'm like, oh, what's going on here?
Yep.
And what are they shutting down now?
And I think even the press that were there were like wanting to ask questions because like, this isn't what you really brought us here for, is it? And it was just, I was like, okay.
I watched it, and he did not paint a good picture. He was very confusing. He didn't have any slides. He didn't describe what program it was. He just started talking about shit, but he was very convoluted. It was not his best press conference.
Yeah, he just he introduced a couple people. I think at some point.
It was just kind of like he was just talking about it. Like
he was talking about it, but we didn't know what the hell. Yeah, we had no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Think about
it's like what we were just talking about back there.
Yeah, back in the room when we cut the deal, right on the cigar room. It was very convoluted. Did not feel like a gubernatorial address about what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a live statewide audience watching. They televise it for folks. It wasn't just a media availability.
I'll tell you what though, the comment section was a dumpster fire. It was just.
Did you catch it on Facebook, YouTube?
I caught it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I could just sat back and watched that. Just people fighting. Just like, okay, I guess we're still. arguing about all this stuff. But man,
Oh yeah.
that was much more entertaining than the actual talk. Was just watching people go at it.
If somebody says the former president's name, does that comment still trigger you,
No,
or do you just ignore it?
it wasn't even that. They weren't really bringing that up. It was just people angry about people not getting the vaccine, and people angry about, it's time to put your mask on, and people like, over my dead body, which is like, okay. I mean, I wouldn't use that phrase right now, but it was just people going at it, and everybody I see people, like I have a coworker that I don't think got vaccinated. That's fine. I bet for them, it was probably like they don't like needles or whatever. So she wears a mask in the office. So I was like, fine. I don't dislike her. I don't feel.
If you're concerned,
don't think any less of her.
If you're actually concerned about the virus, and you're wearing a mask in the office to protect yourself, Dakota, wouldn't you be wearing an N95 mask, like
Yes.
a legit mask, not the fake it mask?
Yeah, not a surgical mask, not a cloth mask.
A cloth
you
mask.
found on
cloth
Etsy.
ones.
Yeah,
It was, yeah. And so some people are being strange about it, but I'm like, I don't think any less of her, though. I don't like verbally attack her. I haven't even asked her. I'm just like, that's whatever she's doing over there is her thing, and I'm doing mine. And there are people I know that are vaccinated that are wearing masks in the office now, and I'm just not quite there. I have one in my pocket. I went and got one out of where I put it.
You're brave. You're brave enough to have it in your pocket in case somebody challenges you.
Because I'm waiting for the email that says that we have to. I'm just waiting for the email because I work in a building.
I'm surprised that you haven't given the current CDC guidelines.
Yeah,
That's what changed it.
I'm
for
a little
lot of
surprised too because we have like the office building I work in I'm probably 150 yards long with 200 people all in it and almost no walls.
My company's official policy is that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear it. But if you are vaccinated, you. So it's literally if you're unvaccinated, you're supposed to wear it.
For the IndyCar race this weekend, if you present your vaccine card, you don't have to wear a mask. But if you don't present one, you have to wear a mask, even in the paddock. COVID's not surviving there. It's going to be
kind of like. Isn't that kind of counterintuitive to the whole mask idea? Like the mask idea is that it keeps droplets from escaping your person. And Fauci said that vaccinated individuals have a higher rate of
But
transmission.
Joe said we could live our lives.
Yeah, I cut that deal with Joe.
If
I had a beer summit. I watched the TV. He said, "Do this."
If
I did it. I'm
vaccinated
good.
people spread it more,
Yeah.
and the mask keeps you from spreading. Shouldn't vaccinated people be
Well,
the
now
ones
it's
that
now Dakota. What it
need to
is
wear the mask?
now Dakota. What it is it's more incentive for you to get your damn shot.
Yeah.
Because now we are super spreaders
That is
without
what it
masks
is.
on, and we're here to scare the hell out of you.
I think I've seen like some.
So cower in fear,
Yes,
or go get your shot.
like some sports facilities are requiring you to either be vaccinated or you have to wear a mask, but they'll I think maybe you have to have a shot to get in, but if you haven't, then they'll give you a vaccine shot right then and there, but you still have to wear a mask for that game or something like that. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on. I'll be honest, it doesn't make sense. I've seen people call people who are vaccinated super spreaders, and somebody's like, I'm like, I get what they're saying because they're running around asymptomatic with like full on or higher viral loads and something. But at the same time, it's like they did what they could to do, to protect everybody else. And I understand it doesn't make sense, but it's these people, we told them that they would have more freedom if they got this shot. So we're going to give them more freedom. And you'd end up with a heck of a tan line Saturday if you spend the entire day running around the paddock with a mask on. So
I cut my deal.
Yep. I did
sticking
to
to it. I'm sure as hell not putting one on in August.
Oh yeah. August in a parking lot. No.
Outside.
Midwest. No. All day. No thanks.
I refuse.
But
And I guess I'm getting my booster shot. So be it.
I think
Whatever.
that'll be like
September.
I think it'll be like a New Year's thing for me because it said 8
It's
months
supposed
after
to be
your
8
second
months
shot.
after you got your deal.
So
So
I think my second shot was
April or May.
Yeah, April 28th.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Christmas.
guess Christmas, January.
Just one more thing.
Sign me up.
Another way to get out of work.
Yeah, I might take another sick day. If it knocks me out like the second shot knocked me out, then it might be.
Tell you what, I'm looking forward to it just for the good night's sleep. It was the greatest thing ever. All right, Dakota. The president pulled folks out of Afghanistan. Maybe it wasn't the most artful way of doing it. A lot of Vietnam flashbacks in the news. Watching very similar helicopters trying to leave the capital city of both places. What's your take?
This is a really sad situation. I've been really interested in the Vietnam War since I was a kid. My grandpa was a history teacher, and he obviously lived through the Vietnam era. And he had this giant book that he had two of them, but one of them was just basically they were both Life magazines, but it was like the wars in color, and it was World War II in pictures, not in color, and then Vietnam in color. And so I got really interested in the Vietnam War because of the helicopters. Whenever I was a kid, I thought the helicopters were really cool. That kind of transferred over into adulthood, and I know a lot about the Vietnam War, and that was and because of what happened in 1975, I had that same worry, and I expressed that same worry whenever we were talking with Jesse a few episodes ago with the war in Afghanistan. And it was like way worse than what I thought it would be whenever we were talking with Jesse.
It was entirely predictable that it was not going to end well
didn't think
whenever
it was
you did
happen
it.
in 4 weeks. I didn't think
it happened in like 4 hours. As soon as they left, it was just
I think I saw
collapsed.
the official thing was like 11 days. Like total. Yeah.
The part that's frustrating is that they didn't do a decent job of getting out their allies.
They didn't do it. Yeah.
They didn't get everybody evacuated before the military presence was gone. Now they're having to send, I guess, 3,000 more people in that they're planning on having out by the end of the month.
Thousands upon thousands of people that interpreted for us in Afghanistan. They swept for mines for us in Afghanistan. They fought alongside of our soldiers in Afghanistan, and they never got any help. And now they're being hunted so that they can be the main scene in another Taliban video that we used to see 10 years ago.
What do you think of the folks that did get out to come back? They're getting a very questionable reaction of, I don't want them here in my community. Yeah, you have seen Peter Meyer and Justin Amash and some others say, I want them here for sure. They've been, the folks, to me, that feels like I have friends that are a guy whose wife is a Vietnamese refugee. Her parents were like, that's how they got here. That's so much of the story of the American public. So I see the way that we're reacting to the Afghan refugees that are coming into this country, and people have absolutely no use for them. And I'm scratching my head.
What better American could you imagine than someone who
has been fighting 20 years advocating for you
and have an appreciation for it when they get here? That
yes,
they'll be better Americans than
the majority of those guys. We sent over. We would take thousands of members of the Afghan military, Afghan special forces, commandos, and also Afghan helicopter pilots and air commanders, and we would bring them over to America to do training on our bases with our guys. And the reason we did that, it was like a huge morale boost. People loved coming here. They loved going to our bases. They loved seeing our military and training with the best of the best and our high-class equipment, eating fast food that they've only heard about. And they loved it. And then we went back there, and they were fired up. They were charged about doing this job. And then, so they saw what it was like. They saw what they were fighting for. They had a vision and a dream and aspirations. And then we just left them in the dust.
Yeah. I fully understand and am aware and get that we've been advocating for getting out of Afghanistan for a very long time. That part of the mission, fully supportive. It's the what the hell, like the nuance of, okay, get your people out. I feel like that is, I'm not qualified to answer that, but it does not seem like we did not do an adequate. I don't give an A grade to that.
That's not to mention the over half of a dozen Black Hawk helicopters that we left behind.
We left behind a hell of a lot of equipment.
We left behind thousands of small arms guns. We left behind millions of rounds of ammunition. We left behind dozens of Humvees. We even left behind survey drones to survey the geographical landscape.
Oh, that's fantastic. I bet they'll find a way to weaponize those.
And the administration said that most of the things that we left behind, they were left there because they weren't.
We didn't find value
They
in them
weren't
here.
currently operable. And
So-
it was like, but these people, the Taliban has been fighting us and driving around in Russian Soviet era equipment.
So I
You
had
don't think that they can also figure out how to do this? I mean, they've been figuring out how to fix stuff that's 50 years old.
I had lunch with an Afghan war veteran this week, and it was after is it Kabul? After they lost the city. And he said when he was over there, he was blown away at the antique helicopters he saw flying. He said it was shit right out of Rambo that he saw back, in the movie there that was made in the 70s or whatever. And he's in theater himself seeing it going, oh my God, this shit's still flying. So I can guarantee you whatever the hell we left behind, it's going to be there 40 years from now as well.
Yep. Well, I mean, we also fly a lot of things. We still fly.
The aircraft.
We still fly a lot of aircraft that we were using in the Vietnam War.
The flyover on Sunday at the Cup race was A-10s, and they've been trying to retire those for like 15 or 20 years, and they can't get it done. So people, I think, would be shocked at like how long a well-maintained being key airframe can last. Like there are people that are.
It seems like
You'll see a plane that'll be
this shit
super
from the
nice, and
40s.
you'll ask the guy, and it's like, oh, this is like a 70, and it looks great because they take very good. I'm not sure how well stuff will do. They're like, I heard Humvees, and I'm like, it's really hard to find somebody who's in the military that'll tell you that Humvees are anything other than pieces of crap.
Yeah.
Like they're total garbage. So I'm like, yeah, good luck figuring those out. But like some of the other stuff, you don't leave like drones and stuff that give them. Yeah, I'm not sure.
The drone thing is weird. It's like, how are you telling me a drone is
How you not
not operable? Like,
why is it there then? Why don't you just break them? Like some stuff, if it's really that inoperable, make it really inoperable.
Take it all home.
supposedly,
Drag it home.
supposedly there are reports from right-wing media. I don't know how.
I discounted already.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate it is, but supposedly that was in Trump's pull-out plan. Was they were just going to drop some bombs and blow up where the stores of weapons and vehicles.
I can see
are.
doing that. Yeah, it's funny because I'm like, that's got Facebook like all fired up, and so I've got some people that are showing Photoshop pictures of like Biden with Taliban leaders, and not to be like a bit of a dig, but then there's also a picture of Mike Pompeo with a Taliban leader who's actually, they said, might be the de facto president when this all.
Mike Pompeo, that picture was literally right after he got him released from Gitmo.
Yeah, so I was like, this is, and I'll admit Biden admits this.
Like a couple of months
He's like,
after.
this whole war has been going on through multiple administrations on both sides of the aisle.
4 presidents.
Yeah, and so he's like,
2 Democrats, 2 Republicans.
he's like, this is not like a one or the other problem. Everybody's facilitating.
Because they all have the same foreign policies, Zach.
The withdrawal
it doesn't
is
change.
his problem.
Yeah.
Like the way that the withdrawal was handled is 100% his problem.
Yeah.
The blame falls on no one else. It's his fault, the way that it went down, especially whenever we're talking about getting people out.
The
getting
optics
our
are
stuff
terrible,
out of
too.
there.
It happened when he was on vacation. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Typical.
Vacation already?
There was I saw a thing on, I can't remember what site I saw it on. Someone said that,
What kind of websites do you look at, Dakota?
look at, not very many. Where I get my news is like Drudge Report. That's about it. That's like the only news site that I go to. Just links. It's easy. You see a headline that might be interesting, and you click on it.
You click on the link, though. You don't.
At least you click on the link. That means you're better than about 95% of the internet.
Well, I mean, he is a thought leader on the internet, so he has to click on the links. You have to do
I
some
like
reading.
to read. I like to read. I'm not just going to get my info from the headlines. Plus, sometimes like you get a headline. Well, I love finding a headline and you click on it and then you read further in the story. And I love seeing that the story is different than the headline.
Because somebody different writes it.
Yeah. The editors write the headline. Yeah. They don't write the article.
Correct.
And they don't read the article sometimes either, apparently.
And the editor his only job is to make it clickable. Make clicks. Yeah. He gets paid in clicks. So he's got to make it clickable. It works. But I like to find those sometimes. If I see an outrageous headline, I click it and read through the article on purpose to be like, I got you.
They got you because you clicked on the thing.
The more outrageous the headline, then it's probably, you're like, oh, well, the story's going to be farther away from this than.
Sometimes I read headlines and it does get me in trouble because I'll like read the headline and I'll be like, that's so stupid. And then I don't even want to know about it.
All right.
And then I don't do anything. But then I'll end up mentioning it later.
Are we good on the Afghanistan talk?
Yeah, I think we're okay.
How many times this week did you listen to the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald?
At least a half dozen. I listened to it a few times. We listened to it a couple times, like on Saturday on the way to the state fair.
Is this like the whole the whole family singing
just
this?
Singing
like
along? Yeah, that's what I'm imagining.
Like we're in Step Brothers here with Adam Scott's family. What
no, Audrey was
is Audrey humming? What's
Audrey
going
was
on?
Like, what's this song?
I was going to say, what's Audrey think of the Edmund Fitzgerald song?
She's like, what is this? I'm like,
does she think it's a banger?
No, she didn't really have anything to say about it. She's like, oh, okay.
I wouldn't know anything about that song except to listen to Bob and Tom. They make fun of it endlessly. So
I was like, oh, it's a song. It's about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I was like,
it's called the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I was like, there's that, that beer that we like, and and she's like, oh, okay, and she was like, is it real? And I was like, yeah, it's real. It's like a real ship. It actually went down. And then I told her the whole story about you going up there. And I thought that was cool. And she's like, that's pretty neat. And then that was it. And we just listened to the song.
I think I watched
that explains one time. You did it 5 more times this week.
I think I watched
we listened to it twice on the way there. And then the other times I listened.
I think I watched a Discovery Channel show about it when I was a kid. Because didn't they think it broke in half because one end, each end of the boat was on a wave and there was nothing in the middle and it just snapped in half. I was like, that's frightening to think about. But yeah, I think I watched some. I mean, I sat and watched a lot of Discovery Channel and History Channel. When
There's
I was
that
a kid, so.
chilling line towards the end of the song.
Oh, I've never heard it. I bet then
when he goes, crap, I can't remember the line now. The only thing that's left is the names and the faces of the wives and the sons and the daughters. That's rough. That's a rough line. That's the line where I immediately get chills. I'm like, oh. I love
all that remains in the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughter.
Yeah, I was close.
All that remains is the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters.
Lake Huron rolls, Superior sings.
Yeah. I just can't believe Dakota is so hung up on that song.
Yeah. I love a good song that tells a story. I like storytelling.
That's all country music.
I'm just amazed.
That's why I like country music.
I'm just amazed that list is so short that you can get to the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald a half a dozen times in a week.
I think he's seeking it out.
That's just your thing right now.
I was just scrolling. I know it takes 1 and then a half scroll on my Spotify playlist and then it's
there
on the screen and I just click it.
So there's a TikTok song. This dude, Austin Burke, wrote a song. It's about fishing, but it's also maybe not about fishing. It's called Wet Dream.
It doesn't sound like it's about fishing at all.
Fishing at all, no.
And it's moved into top 3 on Spotify. It was a TikTok song. The guy wrote it, being funny. He's a songwriter, not on a label. And I clicked on it on Spotify. I was like, I'm going to listen to it over there because I'd seen it on TikTok and it was funny. And he basically played it for his mom and his grandmother or whatever. And it's a big double, very similar to Dakota's shirt. A lot of double entendre. It's not explicitly troubling, but it is hilarious. So now when I get in my car and I click on Spotify, it's like one of those things where you need to clear your search history because it's the first damn thing that comes up. So I could have
Spotify needs an incognito mode.
Yeah, exactly. Now when I get in my car and it's like, hey, recently played, it's like Wet Dream by Austin Burke. And I'm like, God damn it.
It's hilarious.
I look like a
Isn't that the worst when you do a search for something? Just out of curiosity's sake. And then now you're pigeonholed by Google or whatever. And you're stuck with that.
And then it starts serving you you Googled it and now it's like, oh, do you struggle with this?
Yeah.
You start getting ads.
You scroll through Facebook and there's more of it. And that thing's just inundating you. I looked something up and now my Facebook's just full of it. And I was looking up first, to help somebody. And now I'm just stuck. I'm like, I have no interest in this. Yeah, it's the internet. Yeah, the internet's fun that way. Look up one thing, and next thing you know, that's going to be your Google.
Do you
ad.
ever look at your Spotify stats?
I can. Let me try. It's not going to be flattering of me or my style. I can guarantee that you're not going to like it. How do you do this? Yeah, literally the very top thing on my Spotify is
no. You go to
Wet Dream.
statsforspotify.com and it'll show you like all the top things that you've ever listened to of all time.
Stats.
Yeah,
for Spotify. All right, we're going to try this now.
My number one song for all time,
please be Wreck of the Edmund
is Deutschland by Rammstein.
That's
a good song. That's a really good song. I don't know any of the words. It's really good. It's because that for a long time there, to get amped up for the gym, I would put that song on. It's like an everyday thing.
The real question is, which I'm trying to log in through my Facebook, through my whatever, to see what it's going to know.
A lot of these are just my workout songs.
I don't even use Spotify. I use
top tracks all time. Number one thing is "The Ride" by Chris Ledoux. I got a lot of Chris Ledoux.
My number one in all 6 months is "Over There." That's Frank by James Hand, and that's a good storytelling song.
I don't think I've done a lot of. This does not feel like.
And in the last 4 weeks,
it says 6 months. No, it doesn't make sense.
Listen that much. Like if I listen to music, I'm usually in the kitchen doing something. I looked up a bunch of like music videos and stuff on YouTube and made a playlist out of them, and I streamed that on my little device.
And in the last 4 weeks, my top song is
Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Which means that I played it enough in the last week to knock off the last number one spot of the last 3 weeks.
So I went to a Sammy Kershaw concert last month, and I was checking out the Spotify, and he recorded an entire George Jones, like a bunch of George Jones covers. So in the last 4 weeks, apparently the thing I've listened to the most, because I was riding in the car with Mason on 2 big road trips, and we thought this was hilarious, was Sammy Kershaw doing this. So it was his version of White Lightning and his version of Races On. So there you go. So yeah, 4 of my top 5 songs in the last 4 weeks are Sammy Kershaw, and the other one is the Wet Dream song, which I think I've only listened to twice. Maybe, so I don't know. At this point, I don't understand how that works. I question this.
If it's a very popular song and you looked it up, it probably like algorithms are going to shove it to the front.
It says the most. Yeah,
give me your. Go back to your page.
Okay.
And I want to get your top artists.
Top artists. Oh, this is going to be Chris Ledoux is going to be number one. I guarantee that.
Of all time.
All time.
All time. Give me your top 10.
Brad Paisley's number one. Chris Ledoux. Sammy Kershaw. Luke Combs. Morgan Wallen. Randy Travis. I'm proud of most of these. Cody Johnson. Alan Jackson. Eric Church. And Tracy Lawrence.
Yours are wildly different from mine.
Mine are all country.
If I had the same kind of thing, mine would be wildly different than all of yours. I listen to almost no country. I was a Garth Brooks fan when Garth was like new.
I have to get down to number 14. And it's very surprising. Number 14 is Huey Lewis and the News. So, because I have put on a couple of Huey Lewis albums on there and let it play, so that would probably do it. And 16 is Bare Naked Ladies.
Mine is Charlie Crockett.
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2 is Lil Wayne. Number 3 is Akira the Dawn. He's a lo-fi hip-hop artist. Number 4 is Coulter Wall. Number 5 is James Hand. 6 is Sturgill Simpson. 7 is Van Halen. 8 is Tyler Childers. 9 is Johnny Cash. And number 10 is Whitey Morgan and the 78s.
I'm embarrassed that Johnny Cash is only number 9 when you named your son Jackson after Johnny Cash.
Well, you know.
I'm very disappointed in you.
I'm not going to name him Dwayne Carter.
I'm not sure why Wiz Khalifa is 21 in mine, and I don't know. I have no idea. Does he have something that I like or no? I don't understand.
Well, he's one of those guys that's on stuff.
Is he on stuff that I would be playing?
Yeah, well, number 21 for me is the Drive-By Truckers, and I've never heard.
That's what I mean. Is I'm like I have literally no idea what, why, how, when. No clue.
Meanwhile, Rammstein is number 27, and they were my number one. They sang my number one song of all time.
I don't know. I do have Tyler Childers on my list. He's coming in at 29. I have a personal rule against Kenny Chesney, and he's 28th on here. So This is very questionable.
And I listen to Lamb of God pretty often, but they're number 37 on my list. So
I'm a band geek, and the only thing I've gotten into recently was there's two guys called Two Cellos, and they play like modern songs on cellos.
I hate Florida Georgia Line, and they're 40.
I don't think that I could listen to that while I'm like just driving. So.
No, but you should see some of it because they'll do like.
I'm going to look up Dueling Banjos Radio and just.
Zach, do you sing while you drive?
No, I don't sing. Period.
Do you have no joy in your life?
Do you sing while you drive?
Oh God, yes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm belting it out.
But see, me and you.
I don't sing well.
You and I, we drive a lot.
Yeah.
For our day jobs.
I did 135 miles today.
Zach,
I was home for
you
lunch.
don't drive.
Well, I have an 8-mile round trip commute right now.
You've got a decent commute.
Yeah, I listen to Bob and Tom on the way in.
You're not really like driving all day.
No, I listen to Bob and Tom on the way in, and then on the way
maybe
home,
that's
it's
the difference.
maybe finish a podcast. I just bought something so I can actually Bluetooth audio in my car. I couldn't do that for a while, and then otherwise I just listen to the radio.
One of the things that I love about being called out in the middle of the night or whenever it's early in the morning and it's still dark is that I can crank the volume as high as I want it to be, and I can sing as loud as I want to be and look as obnoxious as I want, and no one can see me.
Oh, I don't give a damn about anybody around me. I'm singing. I don't care.
I don't want someone taking a video of me in my company vehicle.
Having too much fun?
Yeah.
God forbid you smile.
Yeah. And I'm like rapping or something.
I have window tint, so nobody could see me. Unless
that's a good move.
Here, the new thing on the Sirius XM, my mother-in-law went out of her way to tell me that there's a new podcast out on channel 104 on Sirius.
Really a podcast if it's on the radio?
It was the first podcast ever. Essentially.
Adam Curry?
A 15-minute radio show. Lucille Ball. Channel 104 is exclusively Lucille Ball from the 50s and 60s doing 15-minute interviews with people, with celebrities.
Never even heard that existed.
It just started.
That is pretty cool.
It just started.
Where have they been?
I don't know. Her daughter introduces it on Sirius or whatever, but it was Libby told me about it, and she's like, "You'll never believe it. They're complaining about the election in 1954 or 1956 or whatever, and how terrible and nasty it is." I'm like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, some of that stuff. Yeah,
Adlai Stevenson versus Dwight Eisenhower must have been terrible.
How long is?
It's like I was listening.
She died in 1989.
Yeah, she's been dead on pretty much my entire life.
Who's been sitting on that audio?
I don't know.
I bet that's fascinating.
But it's out there. Yeah, I've listened to a few of them. I'm planning on this big road trip to check more out. But it is good, and it's a very different style. It's a very. But she gives opinion. It's good radio.
I listened to a podcast today that played a portion of an Eisenhower speech.
The military-industrial complex speech is damn good.
It was part of that speech. It wasn't the part where he mentions the military-industrial complex, but it was
his going away address
speech. Yeah, and the only thing that I could think besides like, oh, that's a really good speech, but mainly it was like, what would it be like to have a person that is that caliber of a leader in the White House again?
He's the president of Purdue University now, so.
Maybe.
I'm telling you, that the guy that this generation actually should have had, he's president of Purdue. So he didn't want the job. We're so dysfunctional that
that's
the people
what we need.
The people that should do the job, don't.
It
goes from president to state representative to senator to local government. The people that should do it, they don't want to.
It's too much self-respect, and they're too humble to think they can. Probably.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Zach. We're at that time in the show where we probably ought to start wrapping things up, doing final thoughts. You're trying to go press the button.
I was just like, well, sometimes they get jumped for not getting the cues.
Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
What? Anything to plug? You're not going to be in town this weekend, so
no.
L&K Produce has their yellow watermelons in stock.
I was going to say L&K. Kate's probably busy. He's been begging for rain, and they finally got it. So hopefully that helps them out.
I saw a farmer call it $100,000 rain today, so it was pretty important.
Oh man, well, it rained yesterday. I thought about him. It rained yesterday in Indianapolis, but it never got here. We had like the downpour that we had today, and we had a downpour like one of those ones that you probably nowhere in any building you could be and not hear that it was raining unless it was like a soundproof building. But we had one of those yesterday too, but it just didn't get.
I'd say we got an inch and a half. And of course, it happens every time. I finally added water to my damn pool, and then we get the inch and a half of rain, and it's too full.
Yeah,
I bought water, and then we get a shit ton of rainwater.
Yeah. Otherwise, last time I fell back because the Broad Street Cruise was the next day, and I forgot about it. But it stormed right before then, so. L&K's got their thing going on Saturday. I'm not sure if they're still doing Food Truck Fridays, but check the Newcastle pages, and otherwise, stay cool. It's going to be hot.
Check local listings.
Yeah.
D squared.
I don't have anything.
You got more ink you're getting this week.
Yep.
So
Next
we're dark.
time you see me,
You're gonna have your neck tattoo. You're gonna look like you belong at a at a concert in Jay County.
I'll be 2/3 of the way to having a completed sleeve.
Right arm,
Left arm.
let me see that. Well, let's see it now. There's barely anything there.
Barely anything there.
Yeah, you've got something on your wrist.
Have that. Yep.
All right. What's it going to be? Is it a surprise? Is it the show logo?
It'll be a surprise.
All right. We'll leave
I'll
it
show
as a
it
surprise.
off in the Patreon people first.
We appreciate you guys very much. Awesome to have another week in the books. We are dark next week. It's going to be Dakota's tattoo week, and I'm going to go try to find him a piece of a ship. With that, we thank you all very much, and we'll catch you in September, and then we'll be I guess we'll be playing some what's the hell is a September song? There's a
Wake Me Up When September.
no. Yes, the Wake Me Up When September Ends is a deal too, but no, it's an Earth, Wind and Fire song. Yeah, y'all know what it is. We'll see you then.